Good morning. It's so great to see you guys on this beautiful day. Now, if you know me, you know that I love the ocean. I love to go snorkeling. I love marine animals. And it's always been one of my dreams to swim with manta rays. And I got the opportunity to do that when we went to Hawaii in December. So we waited for nighttime and we hopped on a boat and drove a ways until we found the spot. The water was pretty choppy that night, and it was dark. And so it was just a few hundred yards off of the shore, and they had this big surfboard with handles on it. And we had our snorkel gear on, and we hopped into the water and just hung on to the side of the surfboard. Now, there was a light underneath the surfboard shining straight into the water, and that attracts plankton. And plankton is one of the tiniest things in the ocean. Most plankton are microscopic. Now, why attract plankton? Because that's what the manta rays eat. And manta rays are the biggest rays in the ocean. They can get up to 29 feet and weigh over 3,600 pounds. And yet this huge animal eats tiny, tiny plankton. So I have a video here to show you guys. And if you hear, there was a whale probably within a couple miles of where we were, so you can hear the whale calling. And here we are hanging under the surfboard. So they're passive filter feeders, which means they swim with their mouths open. And they have a lobe on each side of their mouth, if you can see that. And that helps to channel the water into their mouth. So here's some little tiny, tiny plankton you can see. And you can kind of see all the white stuff in the water. That's plankton that they're feeding on. And food that enters the mouth is filtered. You can see there. And they have some organs called gill rakes that takes the food, and then they can swallow it into their stomach. And they like to do barrel rolls while they're feeding because that maximizes their prey intake. So, as Christians, we're called to be like Jesus, right? And yet sometimes that can seem like such an impossible thing. I mean, you think about Jesus. He was always so loving. He was kind. He was always serving others. He was patient. That can seem like such a big thing to try to follow. And when we think about living like Jesus, we often think about the big things, right? Like maybe Bible studies or leading revival meetings or preaching sermons, those kinds of things. But yet, if you ask an experienced Christian what it really means to be like Jesus, they will often talk to you about little things. At least they seem little, right? Like reading your Bible every day, praying. And yet it's those little habits that help us to grow, to help us to stay connected to Jesus. Because without God's strength, we can't grow to live like Jesus and do those big things that really make a difference in the world. You can go back to your seats.